Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mission Foods Sonoma Speed Tour. We've got a great shot here. One of my favorite race car drivers, Juan Gonzalez, but in his real life, he runs Mission Foods. So if you like Mexican food like I do, you're going to be rooting for this number 81 Porsche 9146 Juan Gonzalez. But right now, let's walk through the front of the grid. This is a huge field, Group 8 and 12. We've got Richard Stewart Milne here in this Datsun 510. Bill Ramsey in a Group 12 Porsche 911. This beautiful green, lots of cool green Porsches out here, Group 12 car. Karen Holmes up here in this number 36A. Then I got to talk about these top guys. So in Group 8, these guys have a battle all the time. Rob Fuller in his Datsun 510 and Troy Ermish have been battling against each other for about 20 years in these Datsun 510s. Troy Ermish got the better of Rob this time by just a couple tenths of a second. Then we got to talk about our front guys up here in Group 12. One of the best vintage races we ever had last year at Laguna Seca. Paul Jorgensen, Alan Wilt here in the Group 12 cars. Watch out for them. We've got 1 minute on the grid. Jonathan, I'm going to be joining you up in the booth for the Mission Foods Sonoma Speed Tour kickoff, Group 8 and 12. Thank you, guys.
Great stuff from Ben Sissel there. Thank you, Ben. And yes, hustle yourself up to the booth. It's a long way up here, but I'm sat here with the one and only Scott Conway. And Scott, beautiful day. We're in the wine country. You've got classic cars. I can't think of many places I'd like to be.
No, this is wonderful. It's a lot warmer up here. Funny, we're in Northern California. It's actually warmer than we were in Middle California last weekend in Monterey. This is a great shot there. I was talking to him yesterday, the president and CEO of Mission Foods. They have tortilla chips, tortilla snacks, tortillas. They're handing out those here at the track. If you're here at the track, go by the Victory Circle, right at the corner of the grandstands, and you can get those. So great field of cars here, Jonathan.
Yeah, and let me just I mean, you're the perfect person to ask, but I'm sure people are sitting out there and watching on the internet when they hear some CEO of a chip company, let's say, who is a king of industry in his own world, they think, oh, well, he's just a part-time, he won't be pushing it, he won't be a good racing driver, and it's not the case, because you cannot take a circuit like this, one of the most technical in America, you cannot take a Porsche or a Datsun that is prepared like this and go into a field like this unless you know what you're doing. So they may be kings of industry in one way, but they're also good racing drivers.
Yeah, Juan Gonzalez has a very long and storied history. He has won at the 12 Hours of Sebring. He's won at the 24 Hours of Daytona.
There you go.
You know the name of Butch Leitzinger. That is his co-driver in International GT. That is a series that runs with us sometimes on the East Coast, Jonathan, for SVRA. And he actually was one of the prime movers and shakers to get that series, which had about 5 or 10 cars to start with. Now boasts fields of 50 cars and more. We had the first two events sold out. But no, Juan Gonzalez, he is very good at his industry. He's very good at racing. Make no mistake, that Mission Foods Porsche, he's won 4 times already this year. That should tell you something.
Yeah, exactly.
And on 2 different circuits, Road Atlanta and WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
169 feet of different elevation, and you're really seeing it here from the drone as they dive through 2, 3, 4, and now 5. The very, very tough turn 5, which is off camber. That's been a place that many a driver has been caught out over the years. I was watching some videos last night on YouTube, and the YouTube's great because there's so many people willing to take you round a lap and give you some of the sort of places that you've got to be careful around here, because of course I've never raced it. So I love watching the videos and seeing where people can get caught out when they're racing around here. And everybody to a man says this is one of the most challenging circuits in America because there just is no respite. You're basically going from corner to corner to corner. I was even talking to someone like Cindy Lux, who's got that big Viper, and she says it's useless. Well, not useless, but she said the long wheelbase of it makes it so hard. You need a nimble car like this to get round Sonoma well.
Yeah, it's a very technical track. I raced here back in SCCA club racing when they had showroom stock A, and it's a great track. I enjoyed it very lot. It doesn't have the straightaways that Laguna Seca has. It has two what I would call short straightaways, passing zones, but a very technical track. Ben, nice of you to come up here and join us. That's a very long trek for you there.
I hope you didn't walk.
I didn't walk, no, but I might have been speeding on my scooter a little bit. But I'm just so excited to watch this because you remember last year, Jonathan, at Laguna Seca, the two Porsches and then the two 510s just go at it. They went at it last weekend with us. And this is always great racing. Group 8 and 12 here at SVRA, Mission Foods Sonoma Speed Tour. I've been looking forward to this event for many, many months, and it's just about to start.
Yeah, we got 3 Porsches up front. That's Alan Wilt, Paul Georgeson, and Sean Van Gelder. They've been very close in practice and in qualifying both yesterday morning and this afternoon. Getting ready for the start.
Green flag. Alan Wilt looks like he's taking the inside just a little bit, just as he should. But if Paul can stay next to him, he's got the advantage on the next corner as they come up. You can see the Mission Apex markers as we go up the hill. It's the beautiful drone shots. Oh, somebody's off there. One of the green Porsches.
Yeah, can't quite
might
make
be
out the
Michael
number.
Cullinan.
Yeah. Yeah, those Porsches are immediately at the front. They were single file order going up the hill as they went up that elevation change, going up through turns 2, 3, and 4. Crest over rise. Very important, though, as Jonathan, you were talking about. Good passing zone at turn 5. That's where you see a lot of the NASCAR drivers when they race here at Sonoma make a lot of their passes as you go all the way out over the rumble strips and use that all the track coming back on and then go through the carousel. Next passing zone should be at Optima Batteries turn 7, where that is a very tight right-hander setting you up for the Franklin Road Apparel S's.
Yeah, talking to all the drivers in all the fields yesterday, these 2 hairpins are the key, and they're getting out of them. Talking to Chris Dyson, he said, doesn't matter what car you're in, the 2 main corners here is this one, and getting out of it well and getting out of it smoothly, and the same at 11, because even though they're both very slow, that's what makes the difference for a lap time here.
Yeah, and you can even see there Juan Gonzalez's hands kind of trying to do that 1 corner, 1 turn. Juan Gonzalez, a very smooth driver as they come these downhill S's, the Franklin Road Apparel Complex of Sonoma. Very difficult to drive quickly.
Now these S's are a rhythm section, and if you turn, you were talking about turn 7, Jonathan, if you turn in just a little bit early at turn 7, it completely throws you out of whack for the next S's section. And another turn that catches people out is WeatherTech Raceway 10. I know the first time I was here, I went to the S's, thought I was through, and thought, oh no, there's another turn. And then you again have to turn very quickly right. And if you don't do it right, you go run off to the outside and people go by you. Unfortunately, I know that from personal experience. And then you go into Big Machine Spiked Vodka Coolers turn 12. That's a very tight turn, good passing zone.
So 12 minutes and 55 seconds to go in our first group race. This is Group 8 and Group 12B. And these are recognized production cars, sports cars and sedans in production up to 72. And lady cars approved, of course. So we've got quite a smorgasbord that goes, well, right through the 70s, late 60s. And mainly European cars, but a definitely good, strong field of Japanese as well.
Yeah, they're very, very popular 8B sedan cars. Ben, you remember last weekend, one of the best races on track was between Rob Fuller and Troy Ermish in those Datsun 510s. We had the B Sedan Challenge feature race and historic Trans Am under 2.5 liter. Those Datsun 510s, very potent. They won the 71 and 72 under 2.5 liter Trans Am championship. They're back at it again here at Sonoma.
Yeah, fun to watch as we watch Alan Wilt going around Optima Batteries turn there, followed by Paul Jorgensen. And you've got to watch out for these two. They've raced together in all kinds of different classes. I think they're big, longtime PCA racers. They've been with us with SVRA for a couple of years, and they put on a fantastic show. I love the fact that Jorgensen's wearing the white gloves so we can see his hands working in there. I wish all the drivers got that memo, because it really adds a lot to our show, and you can really see the input that they're putting into their cars.
I've got an idea, Ben. You know how you give out your prize helmets? How about for those that just come close, you go, well, here's a set of really nice Sparco gloves, white or fluorescent.
That would be great.
Your choice.
Runner-up gloves.
And it's really nice to see him here, because again, this is a much more technical track than Laguna Seca. I know some people would disagree, but
no.
This is much more technical. It has elevation, as Laguna Seca does, but you are busy here all the time. Again, this front straightaway, which again really isn't straight, and the short straight from the carousel down to turn 7, those are really the only two places where you can stretch your legs. And those two Porsches up front, as close as they are right now, Ben, that's as close as they were in practice and in qualifying. In fact, they switched the fastest lap back and forth yesterday about 3 or 4 times.
Wow. And I love the fact watching Troy Armashare and Rob Fuller, both from California. Rob Fuller's from the Bay Area. I think he'd consider this and Laguna his home track. But you can see they're running different lines, different setups of cars. Both of them own car shops. Both of them know how to set up a car and wheel a car, but they have a different approach here. As they come up through the twisty bits here, they're going to come up a hill, get a little bit light, and then it looks like Juan Gonzalez has gotten past Karen Holmes, which is very tough to do because she is a very talented driver as they come around the WeatherTech carousel.
Now those 2 Datsun 510s, one of the 2 national championships that Troy Ermisch won was right here at Sonoma back in 2018, I believe it was, that they were here at Sonoma in GT Light in that Datsun 510. He repeated the feat last year at Indianapolis in GT2, but this track he was the fastest at, and he won the championship after rolling his car in the very first practice session on that runoffs weekend, rebuilt the car and qualified on the front row and then won the race.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that those that live and work and do track days here, this is a specialist track for exactly all the reasons you just said, Scott. It's much more technical. You know, Laguna's got the name, the corkscrew, and perhaps maybe more of the kudos for where it is on the Monterey Peninsula. But this is known as wine country, but this was originally Sears Point, and this has been, you know, the envy of many a racing driver over the years, and no one ever says, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do. So, you know, they're always trying to improve, and it's one of those tracks that always kind of, you find something new or there's disagreements on how to take certain corners throughout the paddock.
Now Road Atlanta, which is my home track, is 2.54 miles. This one is 2.52, but when you drive this one, you get up to the S's and you think you're through. No, you're only about 3/4 of the way through. This, for some reason, this track just seems a lot longer than it really is, and I think it's because, Ben and John, that you're so busy at the wheel every corner. There's no place where you can really relax. Even on the straightaways, you know, you're looking in your mirrors, you're trying to still pick out your points, you know, whether it be out your front windscreen passing someone or trying to figure out where someone is to, you know, to prevent them from passing you.
Yeah, that's Bill Ramsey there, and that number 61, what I call whale tail, Group 12 Porsche 911 from Reno, Nevada. If you're watching online on SpeedTour TV, we're monitoring the comments, so tell us where you're watching from and who you're rooting for.
Just seeing a yellow flag being waved here at the first corner. Is it a local or a full course? I think it's just local at the moment. It means that maybe somebody's gone off just after turn 1. Look out the window. We've got a fantastic view here. Ah, yes, there's a Datsun parked right here in the front straight, so that's the reason being.
Yeah,
78.
That's a very easy place to go off. You're coming down from one of the only straightaways on Sonoma International Raceway, and you're kind of turning in and setting up to go up the hill, and if you get that just a little wrong, a lot of tracks you can get away with turning in just a little bit early. You can kind of catch the car. Not so at Sonoma because of the way the turns are banked and because of the runoff areas. You cannot really get away with turning off early unless you let off the throttle. And Jonathan, Ben, you know that's the last thing that race drivers do.
Yeah,
let off the throttle.
We saw there Taz Harvey coming down in that number 51, but in the background I saw Richard Stewart Mill in the Datsun 510 pull off, but pull off in a safe place where we don't have to stop the race, so we appreciate that. And look at this beautiful number 22 with a Martini livery coming through here. I'm loving all these Group 12 whale tail Porsches in their Power 70s liveries.
Yeah, just to confirm, it was the number 79 of Rob Bellevue who's got stuck in his Datsun 240Z, and he's out of harm's way, and they're just making sure that everybody knows he's there.
That's a tough break. The Datsuns were brought into the United States by Dr. Kuriyama, who was sent here kind of as a punishment for doing
double
something.
Yellow.
Oh, Ben, that's a tough break.
Yeah, I saw him coming up, but that was Maurice Montgomery there in the Martini. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I saw double yellows come out.
Yeah, but Dr. Kuriyama, and it's kind of appropriate. We're here in California because that's where the cars were brought into first.
Yes.
And it was the Datsun 240Z and Datsun 510 were imported into the U.S., and Dr. Kuriyama suddenly went to somebody that no one wanted to talk to the greatest man ever that lived, because all of a sudden Japan was importing all these cars into the United States. They couldn't figure out why. They came over here and saw that Kuriyama had understood the U.S. market, and the 240Z and 510, two of the most popular cars in the showroom, two of the most popular cars on the racetrack.
Yeah, and what I couldn't fathom, and maybe you can fill me in, because obviously coming from Britain, where we always had small sedan cars, and that was the big car. But that was the family car. It was a small, compact car, and the Japanese followed on from that. But how did the Americans make that transition? I'm not talking about racing. I'm talking about importing and getting used to. Maybe not using a Ford or a Camaro, and then suddenly jumping in a Datsun, which was a lot smaller. I guess it was fuel economy and so forth.
Well, a little bit of fuel economy, a little bit of just actually watching races in England, and most of the cars over there were the smaller compact cars. You say the Ford Cortinas, even Jaguar, which was considered a large car in England, was a small car here in the U.S.
Yes, it was.
The Datsuns in Japan, same way. So it wasn't. It was kind of a marketing thing, but also it was. More and more people were wanting to get into racing. More and more people were being exposed to racing. Back then, racing was not where you could turn on any streaming service such as we provide, Jonathan and Ben. But you could only watch it in one place, and you could only usually see it by going to the track. And it grew in popularity. Mario Andretti came up through those ranks, and of course AJ Foyt. All the name drivers came up through those cars, and that kind of helped spur the way of drivers going that way as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure the price point for just the average punter, as it were, that wasn't racing was also good, and they did price it well for the American market, and that's been key for the Japanese over the years.
Jonathan, I've heard that we might be going to checkered, so you can call the end of this race.
well,
take it away, Jonathan.
Don't need to any too overly excited to see Alan Wilt make his way across the line under safety, and as you were quite rightly pointing out, there is the yellow checker. And Wilt comes across the line in the number 27 Porsche, and it's Sean van Gelder in second place, Paul Georgeson in third in the number 76. We had, the reason why we came under that was the car I mentioned. The number 79 did get stuck on the main stroke. That's Rob Bellevue, but the car's fine. He just stopped it. I think it was a stall of some sort. No damage or anything like that. It's just parked, unfortunately, in a precarious place, because he's literally at the turn-in place for turn 1. As we look down at the turn 2 and turn 3s coming up. It's really, there's so many blind corners here. You come up to and then you're down again. Really, really impressive. And I think the drone's really going to give us the illustration that we want about what makes Sonoma so special. Well, my thanks to Ben and to Scott. We'll take a short break here from Sonoma, and we'll be back with more action and on our next group action from the Speed Tour as part of the SVRA double header from Laguna and Sonoma. Join us.